Welcome to the Integrate This EdTech podcast and our Tech in 10 series that David and I have been working on. My name is Jeremy Mikla. David Berner's next to me here, and we are this week sharing about NotebookLM and its ways that it can be used in an educational environment as part of either your prep and your planning work for what you're going to be teaching to your students, or even with some strategies for how you can take some of the great things that NotebookLM allows you to do and to be able to implement them in things that you're doing with your students. And so in this first episode here of this series, we're taking a look at how you can get into NotebookLM, what it does, and why you might want to use it here in the first place. Future episodes here in this series are going to deal with some of the studio tools, and we're really excited also to be able to bring you an episode that focuses from a teacher's perspective on ways that it can be implemented in a very practical and very user-friendly way to help kind of lower that threshold and allow you to see some of the great things that it can allow you to do, honestly. And so let's start out with NotebookLM is a Google tool, just like your Google Docs and your Google Sheets and those sort of things. And where you can access it, you can see I'm in my Google Drive here, but anytime you're in a Google window where you have the waffle, those 9 dots that are up in the top right-hand corner of the screen, you could see it right here. And if I open up the waffle and scroll until I find NotebookLM, you're going to notice that there is a spot for it there, and then it will open up NotebookLM for you. Once you are in there, kind of in your home page here of NotebookLM, you'll be able to see a card for all of the different notebooks that you have created. You can create a new one right here. If you are a user of it along with other people and others within your domain are sharing you their notebooks as well, you can also access them through this Shared with Me tab that's at the top. You can weed through just what your notebooks are, or you can look at them all at one time. If you don't like this view of seeing the cards, you can go back to a list view, and it looks very much like it would if it was organized in your Google Drive. I kind of like this card view myself, so that's the one that I kind of focus on. As you start to add notebooks and you find that you don't need some, like, do I really need one in here anymore, called Untitled? It's pretty easy with the 3-dot more menu. You can go through and you can delete it right from here. Again, at the top, there's also a way to create a new one right from this spot as well. So those are some of the navigation things around this homepage here. I'm going to go into creating a new notebook here. And as soon as you click that button, the first thing that it's going to want you to do is to upload a file or to attach a document or a link or a YouTube video or even some copy and pasted text that you have. It wants you to have content in order to interact with that notebook in the first place. So if I, for example, just go in and choose a random one from my Google Drive, maybe I would like something about this particular thing. It's going to add it in there, and it's all automatically going to start summarizing that first source that I put into there. And I can go through and I can keep adding as many different sources and things that I would like to straight from here. Now, one of the new things that I just recently heard about, in fact, it came out today as we're recording this, is before you could just really update or upload Google Docs and PDFs and Google Slides. They're now saying that you're able to upload into their Google Sheets. And so, yes, I'm seeing that is working. It took that file type, which is, to me, pretty amazing, especially if you're going to use this as a data analysis tool. I think it's pretty awesome that you're able to do with that. Now, it's going to give you a default name for what you want to call this, but it's easy to change it. If I click on there and I want to just rename this whatever it happens to be, And now I can start using the different, I call it 3 panels that Notebook comes up with. The first panel right here is your sources. That's where you're going to add things here. We'll show you a little bit later when we have some other examples that we're going to use on how to discover sources, that you can discover them either in your Google Drive or through the web. But I'm going to save that for a little bit later. The chatbot feature is this middle pane here. This is where you get to interact with the chatbot. Now, what's really cool here about NotebookLM is when I interact with this chatbot, it's going to pull its knowledge base, its content from the sources that you have over here in that first panel. So if it isn't something that's listed here, it's not going to draw upon it. So if you think about it, if you're a teacher and you're using this to maybe organize some of the materials that you use within a particular unit, all of your slides or all of your notes or readings or activities, assignments that go along with that unit, if they're all over here in this side, now you can interact and you can ask questions of the chatbot. Which is a really cool thing to be able to do, because maybe it's helping you identify or find something, or maybe you're asking it to synthesize some of the content across the different documents you have in there, to produce something new. And the third panel that you see over here is the studio panel. These are the tools that are built within NotebookLM. They've got audio and video overviews, which we will highlight in one of our next episodes. They have mind maps and reports, which again we'll highlight in another one. And finally, flashcards and quizzes, which I think are really great tools for formative practice for students, which again we'll highlight in one of our other upcoming episodes that we have. So these different tools are all great to be able to have. But another cool thing about NotebookLM, and it lives in that Google environment, that NotebookLM is also fully integrated now into Google Classroom. And if you are a watcher of our Tech in 10 series, you'll note that in the last one of our last segments dealt with using NotebookLM within the Google Classroom environment. And so we'll link in the show notes to that episode directly about how to go about doing that. But by doing so, you're making it much more available for your students to be able to use that as a tool as well, to help them study, to help them prepare for an upcoming assessment, or just to get them to engage with your content in a more relevant manner. Okay, I'm just going to jump back here to this home screen, which I just did by clicking up in that top left-hand side here. And I'm just going to show you one of the other notebooks that I had created that shows you some of these different things here. And you're going to see that this one maybe is about a unit on ancient Rome. I've got several different types of sources that are on here. And I can just begin interacting with this. And I could say, you know, how did the political, cultural, and social transformations define the Roman Empire's long chronology? So now if this was shared with students, the students would have the ability to be able to interact with this feature as well. One of the other things that, and this is why I opened this one up here too, that you're able to do, you'll see that the response that I get is rather long for an interaction with a chatbot in here, but I set it up that way on purpose. If you click on the configure notebook thing up here in the top right of that middle panel, when you're in that configure notebook, you could set it up as a default, but you can also make it a learning guide, and you can choose the response length that you would like from it. And when you save those in there, then that's going to then determine the type of response that it gets. The second thing that I wanted to point out from what it shares back to you is it gives little numbers here next to the information that it brings back. Those numbers link back to your sources, and it's showing you where from the source content that you have, it's pulling that information from. So, you know, when we talk about, you know, transparency and AI and bias and AI hallucinations, hard words to say. This shows you exactly then back to where it is coming from. So pretty powerful to be able to show you that it's not making this stuff up. Or if you think it does sound like it's making it up, maybe you have a biased source over here on the side that maybe you need to go either turn off or just delete from what you have there. All right, and one last thing here that I'm going to share. Like I had some interaction here with the chat, and if this is valuable stuff here, what I can do is I can save this to Note, and if I save it to Note, it creates a document over here in the studio, which then if I go into the three dots, the more that are there, I can now make this interaction that I just had with the chatbot in the middle into a source. And so if I click that, it then adds that, and now I have one additional source here, which I can then use to kind of further boost the quality of the content that is in my notes. And it works. It works it for those notes. It doesn't necessarily work for quizzes and some of the other studio generated tools that are over in that third panel. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone, and come back and check out the next segment of Tech in 10, where we are going to take a look at the features of the audio and video overviews.